Greetings, everyone. It's Friday, October the 7th. Well, I'm feeling a little better today. I was up late last night speaking with a good buddy of mine. She offered me some solace, some advice, and I feel a little better today. Granted, not much, but I just figure I should, begin to heed my own advice. I can either meet this challenge and go with the flow, or I can go against the grain and make it difficult. So I'm just going to try and go with the flow and take it as it is. And I'd like to thank all of you for your words of advice, your kind words, and also others, your not so kind words. Any advice to me is, I'm open to it, and I thank you all. I do consider you all my friends. Granted, we don't know each other in person, but we all connect through this global consciousness. So again, I thank you all. In reviewing that video yesterday, clearly there was some kind of presence here with me. I mean, there were orbs flying around everywhere. I highlighted a couple, and there's still others that I didn't highlight that I found. And they usually tend to be right around here. You can see them on my closet there, floating around. And I'm almost positive that once I'm done with this video today and I review it, I'm going to see more of them. Some are claiming that I may be possessed by a jinn, I believe is the term. And I'm not going to dismiss that, everyone. I may very well be possessed. I can tell you that when I was awakened, everything I was changed instantly. Some call it walk-ins, others call it demonic possession. Whatever it is, it's changed my life, and I feel it's changed it for the better. I may have discussed my awakening story before, but I'm getting a lot of questions about it, so I'm going to discuss it again briefly. I suppose it began on the 21st of December last year, the winter solstice eclipse. I got home from work, I was tired, but I knew this was an extremely rare celestial event, and I wanted to get pictures, I wanted to see it. So I sat up on my balcony, got my pictures. I remember that night clearly. It was a bitter cold night. The air was clear, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. The air was crisp. And I recall when the moon was completely eclipsed, I felt some kind of sensation. It was bitter cold out there, but I felt warm, almost hot. But, thinking nothing of it, I just dismissed it really and went about my business, got my pictures, went to bed. But for the next 11 days after that, 11 days of course, I had a sense of well-being and peace. Granted, I was still a cruel and negative person, but at that time I was going through a lot of anxiety and heartache and struggle. But after that eclipse, it began to fade away. And then on the 1st of January this year, 11 days after that event, that's when I think this walk-in possession, whatever you want to call it, awakening occurred. In fact, I know that's when it occurred. I remember I was sitting at my laptop studying, of all things, the Illuminati, which is even that much further interesting. And as I sat there, I was overwhelmed with this sensation of peace and well-being and knowledge. And I knew instantly, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there was some kind of presence here. I mean, I had suspected it in the past, but it wasn't until that moment that I knew 100%. And I can't even explain how. I just felt my consciousness expand instantly. And everything I was, I used to be atheist. Like I said, I used to be a cruel, hateful, negative person. And within a matter of moments, I was changed. Instantly changed. And it wasn't long after that I began talking to people about things at my work. I was a gas station attendant then. Customers would come in and, we'd just speak of blah 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 whatever, and I started telling them, what do you think about what they're spraying in the sky? And they said, huh, what are you talking about? I said, well, you've heard of the jet trails they leave, right? Go online and research chemtrails. You might find it interesting. So it wasn't long after that my boss came to me. He pulled me aside and he said, listen, I can't have you speaking with my customers about these kind of things. And I said, why not? Is it any different than talking about football, boss? What's the big deal here? And he was very adamant about it, that I'm not to be discussing this with the customers, whether it's bad for business or whatever. Personally, the people I spoke to, they were fascinated by it. They actually enjoyed it. They wanted to learn more. However, I noticed that when the top brass military personnel came in, and I don't mean lieutenants, captains, I mean colonels, generals, there would be times that I would pose this question to them, and they became very defensive about it. And I'm pretty sure I know why. But anyway, I told boss man, I said, look, boss, you've been good to me, and he was. He paid me well, and I believe that I was reliable for him. And I told him, this is the end for me, boss. I quit. It's nothing against you. It's just my life is telling me that I need to move on now. Some call it the 7-year itch, whatever you want to call it. And it wasn't long after that I knew I had to return here due to financial concerns and just due to the premonitions I had. When I was awakened, I knew instantly that I had to return home to my mother and father. And it was very difficult for me. I had built a life over there, a job, I had my own apartment. And the most difficult part was telling my child, that I had to go. But and she was hurt at first, but she understood. My child, she understands things that are well beyond her years. And she watches my videos as well. And it's adorable. I know I speak of some deep and controversial things, but I have nothing to hide from my daughter. Nothing at all. And she's just so precious. She watches my videos and she said, "That's my dad. He tells it like it is." It's cool, everyone, to be able to relate with your child on levels that you can't relate with other adults. Her mother still likes to give me a hard time. Oh, why do you speak of these things? You're going to end up in jail. They're going to come down on you. And again, I say, bring it on. Everything I said yesterday, I meant 100%. And it was directed at all of you, the government, the leaders, the people who control this world. Basically, the Illuminati. I know your intentions. I know that you claim to do what you do for a reason, for spiritual growth. And a lot of people will never accept that, just due to the human sense of justice and what is right and what is wrong. But I'll tell you all that I love you nonetheless. I love all equally, no matter what they've done. I don't judge on appearance or what you've done in your past. I think that's a shallow approach. But at the same time, that does not mean that I think you should go unpunished for your crimes and your atrocities. And you will be punished for it, sooner or later. Whether it's by the people who revolt against you and build a new system of law, or those that are of a higher power. And you know you will be punished. You guys know that. So, I posted a bulletin yesterday. I came across some pretty interesting information about the Illuminati. If you wish to observe it, send me a message or find me on wherever, and I'll send it to you. I've had a few requests come in, and granted, the bulletin was short, and I know YouTube is censoring me here and there. A lot of times my bulletins don't show up at all. So that's why I'm putting it out there in this video. Leave me a message if you want some info, and I'll give it to you. Oh, let's see. There was one more thing I wanted to discuss today. What was it? Oh yes, the Draconoid meteor shower that's coming up very soon. You know, in reading recent messages of the Galactics, they claim that this first wave of ascension is going to begin on the 16th of this month. And in looking at NASA's JPL simulation of Comet Elenin, it's at its closest approach on the 16th. Now, of course, I take with a grain of salt everything NASA provides us, everything they try to feed us. But when it's compared with another source of information and coincidence, I'm that much more likely to, bring it to other people's attention. So just a strange coincidence or whatever. You all know my take on it. There are no coincidences. And this meteor shower is coming up very soon. Of course, it's Draconoid meteor shower. And some are saying that it's beginning already. I came across a story today about Canada is having communication problems due to a loss of a satellite. Who knows if that's a valid story or not, but it's put out there, so I'm sharing it with you. So I hope to observe this meteor shower. It doesn't appear that the time of the shower, the peak of the shower, is going to favor this area of the country. But I'm going to try and view what I can of it nonetheless. And I honestly hope that there will be no meteor impact, but I haven't dismissed that possibility either. This seems to be a significant meteor shower that is coming our way. And they are claiming that satellites may be affected as well. So maybe all of you can get some pictures of it. I hope to get some pictures as well, but it's worth noting this event for many obvious reasons. And the last thing I want to discuss today is this whole anonymous deal. I got a flood of email yesterday after my statements on anonymous and how I believe they may be Cointelpro. A lot of people are getting behind them and backing them. And they are having a clear impact. But at what cost? The people who are occupying all these locations, they're suffering. They're being beaten. They're being arrested. They're taking time out of their lives to show support for change, for revolution, and for anonymous. But ultimately, when you look at the big picture, is this whole anonymous deal really is it for the people or is it against the people? Like I told you yesterday, the people that control this world, they can see beyond the veil of space and time. They are aware of what is coming. Granted, there are instances where the timeline splits, and there are powers at play at all times that have to be taken into consideration that can alter these events. So like I've said earlier, I have my doubts about Anonymous because A, they hide behind a mask, B, clearly they're being funded by someone or something. There is funding going on here. From what source, they won't disclose, of course, but there is some kind of funding. And I honestly hope that whatever comes of these occupations does indeed incite a revolution of change. Because change is desperately needed right now, everyone. Desperately needed. So, I guess that'll do it for today. Much love to you all. And again, I thank you. Please leave feedback, leave comments, and if you want to tear me down and call me a bullshitter or whatever, please do. I enjoy reading those comments just as much as I enjoy people who agree with me and praise me. It's all information and insight that I use to gather. Be well, my friends.